Have you ever stepped into a room, a building, or even a conversation, and without a single word spoken, your whole being whispered, "Leave"? Not because of what you saw, heard, or smelled, but because something deep inside you stirred, something sacred. A voice beneath the noise that told you, "This isn't your place." If that sounds familiar, you're not imagining things. Chosen ones, those spiritually awakened, those marked by divine purpose, often carry a quiet gift. It's not loud and it's rarely understood by others, but it's real. It's what some call discernment, a kind of spiritual compass that doesn't rely on logic or appearances. It's a divine instinct, a soul-level knowing that says, protect your peace, guard your spirit. This isn't for you. The Bible says in Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And that's exactly what chosen ones do, sometimes without even realizing it. They walk away from energies that don't align with their calling. They avoid places that may look harmless, sound cheerful, but feel spiritually heavy and toxic. They don't wait for proof. They don't argue with their intuition. They move. Have you ever felt that too? That quiet, invisible pull guiding you away before you even understood why? If you have, that's not coincidence. That's divine guidance. These aren't moments of fear. They're moments of deep obedience to the inner voice God has planted within them. Jesus himself often withdrew to solitary places to pray. Luke 5:16. He knew the power of protecting spiritual energy, of not lingering in spaces that drained or distorted divine connection. You see, being chosen means you don't fit everywhere, and you're not supposed to. The environments that seem fine to others might feel heavy, loud, or wrong to you. That's because your spirit is tuned differently. You're not just sensitive, you're spiritually aware. This video will walk you through 8 powerful places chosen ones instinctively avoid. Not because they're strange, not because of superstition, but because your spirit knows better. You'll see how this inner knowing has been guiding you all along, and why it matters now more than ever. If this message finds you at just the right moment, that's no coincidence. Type Amen in the comments to claim spiritual clarity and divine alignment. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. This space is more than a channel. It's a sanctuary, a refuge for the spiritually gifted, the called, the awakened. Now, let's begin. Here are 8 places your spirit instinctively avoids, and how honoring that instinct guards your peace. There's a certain kind of space that chosen ones naturally avoid, not out of fear or judgment, but because their spirits simply cannot breathe there. We're talking about crowded, chaotic places that pulse with noise but lack purpose. Places where the energy feels loud but empty, rooms filled with motion but devoid of meaning. And for the chosen, it's not just uncomfortable, it's soul-crushing. Unlike the average person who might thrive in a buzzing nightclub, feel alive in a packed arena, or spend hours wandering a busy mall, the chosen one feels something else entirely. They feel drained, not because they're fragile, but because they're finely tuned, spiritually attuned, aware of currents most people never notice. In places where the music is deafening, the lights are blinding, and the air is thick with unspoken pain disguised as celebration, the chosen one picks up on everything. The anxiety behind the laughter, the loneliness hiding behind the selfies, the spiritual hunger buried beneath surface-level excitement. It's not that they dislike people. In fact, many chosen ones carry a deep love for humanity. They long for real connection, heart to heart, soul to soul. But in these overstimulating environments, their nervous system sends a quiet, urgent signal: this is not where you belong. Scripture reminds us in 1 Corinthians 14:33, "For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace." That truth pulses in the heart of the chosen one. In the chaos, they don't just feel out of place, they feel out of alignment, because their spirit doesn't respond to hype. It responds to presence, depth, truth. While others might call it fun or freedom, the chosen one feels the spiritual static, the disconnect, the noise that drowns out the still, small voice of God. And though they may try to blend in, to smile and stay a while, eventually they'll slip away. No drama, no explanation, just a quiet retreat to peace. Some may misunderstand, assuming they're antisocial or overly sensitive. But the reality is this: chosen ones aren't avoiding people. They're protecting their purpose. They're not rejecting life. They're choosing alignment. They flourish in spaces where energy flows gently, not chaotically, where truth is spoken softly, not shouted over speakers, where the soul is allowed to breathe. They're drawn to nature, to prayerful silence, to meaningful conversation, to places where their spirit can expand instead of shrink. So, if you've ever walked out of a crowded room with your heart pounding and your soul aching, know this: you're not broken, you're not strange, you're just spiritually awake. And your sensitivity, that's your compass. Trust it, honor it. It's leading you home. But noise isn't only outside us. Sometimes it hides where we expect healing. There's a certain weight in the air when you walk into a hospital. Even if everything looks sterile, orderly, and calm on the surface, those who are spiritually sensitive, especially the chosen ones, can feel something deeper, a heaviness, a quiet storm of invisible pain. The walls may not speak, but the energy does. Hospitals, while vital for physical healing, are also places where human suffering gathers, where grief hangs in the air like mist, where prayers are whispered in desperation, and where the veil between life and death is often at its thinnest. For chosen ones, those who walk with heightened spiritual awareness, these environments can feel overwhelming, even suffocating. They don't need to see tears or witness trauma to sense the echo of it. Their empathic nature picks up the imprints of pain left behind in the rooms, the halls, even the elevator buttons. And it's not imagination, it's sensitivity born of spiritual calling. Scripture tells us in Romans 12:15, "Rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep." Chosen ones live this verse every day. They carry others' emotions as if they were their own, often without trying. So walking into a hospital can feel like being hit with waves of sadness, fear, and fatigue, energies that are not theirs, but are impossible to ignore. That's why, unless there's a deeply personal reason, like visiting a loved one or receiving necessary care, they often steer clear of medical institutions, not out of fear, not out of rejection of science or medicine, but because their spirit knows where it thrives and where it starts to dim. Instead, they are drawn to places that restore, not deplete. Quiet forests, healing springs, sunlit rooms filled with plants and peace, wellness spaces where the soul is treated as sacred, not just the symptoms. Their definition of health is broader than physical survival. It includes spiritual alignment, emotional balance, and energetic clarity. Chosen ones believe in healing deeply, but they seek wholeness, not just treatment. They listen when their soul says, "This space doesn't feel right." That's not weakness, it's wisdom, discernment, not avoidance. They're not running from pain. They're choosing to protect their light so they can keep showing up in a world that desperately needs it. So, if you've ever felt uneasy walking into a hospital, even with no logical reason, trust that instinct. It's not something to fix. It's something to honor. Your sensitivity is sacred. Your soul just knows what it can carry and what it cannot. Where pain gathers, remembrance often lingers. Cemeteries, graveyards. To the world, they are symbols of peace, remembrance, and closure. Quiet places where the living come to honor the dead. But for chosen ones, those with awakened spirits and open hearts, these places stir something deeper, something ancient, something sacred. To the chosen, a cemetery is not just a collection of tombstones and flowers. It is a field of spiritual echoes, a space saturated with the emotional residue of grief, love, longing, and sometimes unrest. These grounds hold the final chapters of thousands of stories, some closed gently, others torn too soon. And when a chosen one steps into such a space, their soul doesn't just observe, it feels profoundly. It's not fear that keeps them from lingering. It's discernment, reverence, a deep respect for the threshold that lies between this world and the next. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." That peace is what chosen ones protect, not only for themselves, but for the spirits they may encounter, because they don't view death as an end, but as a sacred shift. And where that shift has occurred, they step gently. To others, graveyards might seem serene. To the chosen, they pulse with unspoken energy, grief not yet healed, love still echoing in the silence, and the weight of unresolved sorrow that still lingers in the living. It's not their role to explain this to the world. It's their calling to listen inwardly and honor what they feel. They may visit when love calls, during a funeral, an anniversary, a quiet moment of remembrance. But once the purpose is complete, they leave, not in haste, but with grace. Their connection to those who have crossed over doesn't depend on location. It's not the soil or the stone that binds them to their ancestors. It's the intention of the heart. They commune with the spirit world in still prayer, in candlelit rooms, in dreams and divine whispers. Psalm 34:18 reminds us, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." The chosen carry this closeness not only for themselves, but on behalf of others. They walk with it daily. So, if you've ever stood at a gravesite and felt an overwhelming sense of sorrow or quiet urgency to leave, you're not strange. You're spiritually awake. You're listening to something deeper. And in a world that often silences intuition, that is not a weakness. It's a gift. Chosen ones don't need to dwell among the dead to honor them. They carry remembrance in their spirit and presence in their prayers. Their love reaches beyond the veil, because true connection never dies. There's a certain kind of atmosphere that weighs heavy on the spirit, even if no one raises their voice. It's not violent, it doesn't look dangerous. But to the chosen ones, the spiritually attuned, the truth seekers, it's as toxic as smoke in the lungs. These are gossip-filled spaces, environments where words aren't used to uplift, but to tear down, where conversation becomes a weapon and judgment masquerades as concern. To the average ear, gossip might sound like harmless small talk, a little drama to pass the time. But to the chosen, every word carries weight. Words are energy. They build or destroy. They heal or wound. Proverbs 18:21 reminds us, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." And so, chosen ones tread carefully with the language, not out of fear, but from a sacred sense of responsibility. Whether it's in a workplace break room, around a family dinner table, or in the anonymity of a group chat, the energy shifts the moment gossip enters the room. The air grows heavy. The spirit feels unsettled. Chosen ones can sense it instantly, the shift from authenticity to pretension, from love to subtle harm, and their soul resists. It's not about being self-righteous or acting superior. It's about spiritual protection. Chosen ones are often empaths, deeply intuitive, and wired to guard their peace. They know that even listening to gossip without contributing feels like betrayal of their values, of their purpose, and of the sacredness of others. Gossip doesn't just wound the person being talked about. It contaminates the spirit of the speaker, the listener, and the space itself. It invites a vibration of mistrust, fear, and spiritual decay. Ephesians 4:29 urges us, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up." This is the compass chosen ones live by. When faced with gossip, they don't argue, they don't condemn, they simply withdraw, quietly, gracefully. Because peace is a currency they don't trade, and truth is a path they refuse to abandon, even when it costs them popularity or inclusion. They know the power of their presence. They understand that where words are used to harm, their silence is a shield. They'd rather stand alone in integrity than join a crowd built on falsehood. So if you've ever found yourself shrinking in a room full of gossip, feeling out of place or emotionally disturbed, trust that feeling. That discomfort isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's your soul refusing to lower its frequency. It's your spirit choosing light over noise. Because chosen ones aren't called to echo the world. They're called to transform it, starting with the way they speak, and even more so, the way they listen. If words can drain a room of peace, then worship without presence can feel just as hollow. There's a quiet misunderstanding in the world that all deeply spiritual people must find comfort inside churches, temples, or sacred halls. But for the chosen ones, those who walk by faith and not by sight, it isn't always so simple. Their connection to the divine doesn't depend on architecture or ritual. It's born from direct experience, from whispers of the Spirit that no sermon can fully capture. To the chosen, what matters isn't the beauty of stained glass or the sound of a choir. It's the presence that fills the space, the living pulse of God. And when that presence is missing, they feel it instantly. A sanctuary without spirit feels no different than an empty theater. They can sense when worship has turned into performance, when prayer has been replaced by pride, when faith has hardened into rule instead of relationship. It's not rebellion that makes them uncomfortable in such places. It's reverence. Their soul refuses to pretend that God is present where love has been replaced by judgment. Jesus warned of this in Matthew 15:8. "These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." The chosen feel that distance like a shadow in their spirit. They're not rejecting religion. They're yearning for truth. They've encountered the sacred in the simplest of places, in the golden hush of a sunrise, in the laughter of a child, in a moment of stillness when their heart opens wide to the Creator. Psalm 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands." For the chosen ones, every breath of wind, every rustle of leaves, every spark of light in another's eyes is a form of worship. They don't need walls to pray, only awareness. When they walk into a religious building, They're not looking for rules to follow, but for resonance, truth that vibrates with the same frequency as their soul. And if that energy isn't there, they quietly step away, not out of arrogance, but out of loyalty to the divine presence that guides them more surely than any ritual could. They honor all paths, all seekers, all hearts that reach toward the light. But they know that true communion cannot be forced or staged. Real faith is alive. It breathes, it heals, it transforms. So the Chosen One's church is wherever the Spirit moves freely, in nature, in stillness, in acts of love, in the quiet courage of truth. Because the divine isn't confined to walls, it lives within them, and wherever they walk, that sacred presence walks too. Some places carry more than just memories. They hold energy, emotion, and echoes of who we used to be. For the Chosen Ones, these aren't just locations on a map. They are living archives of their soul's journey, and some of those archives are heavy. There are places that look ordinary to others, a street corner, a house, a classroom, an apartment. But when a Chosen One steps near, something shifts inside. A pressure in the chest, a sudden wave of sadness, a chill that isn't from the weather. These are not random reactions. They are the spirit remembering what the mind has tried to forget. These are the places of past trauma, environments where pain once spoke loudly through neglect, abandonment, betrayal, humiliation, or heartbreak. Maybe it was a childhood home where love was absent, a school where their light was dimmed, a city where everything fell apart. And even when the buildings remain the same, the energy is not. Pain leaves residue. And for those who are spiritually attuned, that residue speaks. The Chosen Ones don't just carry their own wounds. They often inherit ancestral grief, karmic burdens, and emotional imprints passed down through generations. And in these places, the soul doesn't just remember, it responds. Not always with tears or panic, but with a quiet resistance. An urge to leave, a knowing that whispers, "You don't belong here anymore." And that knowing is holy. Psalm 147 verse 3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." But healing doesn't always mean revisiting the battlefield. Sometimes it means respecting the wisdom that says, "We've already won this war. Let's not go back." In a world that often glorifies the idea of returning to the past to make peace, Chosen Ones understand a deeper truth. Peace isn't always found in going back. Sometimes peace is found in the permission to walk away, to outgrow, to never return. Avoiding these places isn't avoidance, it's alignment. It's the spirit choosing growth over nostalgia, healing over haunting. It's not about fear, it's about freedom. So if your soul tenses up when you pass by certain places, listen. You're not weak, you're wise, you're not stuck, you're sacred. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for leaving behind the places where your spirit nearly broke. You've done the work, you've faced the pain. Now let the past rest. You weren't meant to live in the shadows of old wounds. You were meant to rise in the light of your becoming. Not every weight comes from what was. Some arrives wrapped as a bargain. There's a peculiar energy that fills the air during massive sales, Black Friday, clearance frenzies, holiday shopping rushes. To most, it's excitement, a rush of adrenaline, the thrill of getting more for less. But to the Chosen Ones, the spiritually awakened, the deeply sensitive, it feels like stepping into an energetic storm, a war zone disguised as celebration. They don't see smiling faces grabbing bargains. They feel the undercurrent, the vibration of lack, fear, and hunger that hums beneath the noise. The flashing lights, the crowds pushing through aisles, the frantic hands reaching for things that promise happiness but rarely deliver. To them, it's not joy. It's desperation disguised as pleasure. Their spirit knows the difference. In these moments, chosen ones can feel their energy tighten. Their heart beats faster, not with excitement, but with alarm. Their intuition speaks loud and clear. This is not your frequency. Because beneath the surface of shopping carts and sales tags, they can sense what's really being sold. The illusion that having more means being more. Proverbs 16:16 says, "How much better to get wisdom than gold, to get insight rather than silver." That's the creed the chosen live by. They know true abundance isn't found in the aisles of a store. It's found in peace of mind, gratitude, and spiritual clarity. They understand that what the world calls a good deal often comes at the cost of inner stillness. For them, simplicity isn't a limitation, it's liberation. They don't measure worth in possessions or brands. They value alignment over accumulation. If they shop, they do it with awareness, not anxiety, with purpose, not panic. They buy what resonates with their spirit, not what shouts from a discount sign. Where others see chaos, they see energy out of balance, humanity chasing fulfillment in things that fade. And while they may step into a store for necessity, they won't linger in madness. They move with grace, quiet, and gratitude. Because chosen ones know that peace is their true currency, and they refuse to spend it recklessly. Matthew 6:19-21 reminds us, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." The chosen ones live this truth. Their heart is not in the crowd, their treasure is not in the cart. So while the world races for more, they choose less and find everything. Because their wealth isn't in what they own, but in how lightly they carry their soul. And sometimes it's not the place itself, but what remains in the air. Sometimes a place just feels wrong, even when everything looks right. The curtains are drawn just so, the lighting is warm, the furniture arranged with care. And yet, for the chosen ones, there's something underneath the surface, something unseen but unmistakably real. They may not be able to explain it, they may not have the words for it, but they feel it deep in their spirit, a weight in the air, a strange tightness in the chest, an invisible wall between themselves and peace. While others might ignore the subtle unease, brush it off as imagination, or suppress it out of politeness, the chosen ones do not. Because they know, energy never lies. A room can carry residue, leftover emotions, spiritual tension, echoes of past arguments, sorrow, betrayal, or something darker. The house may have been cleaned, repainted, or staged to perfection, but no decor can cover what the spirit can sense. Isaiah 11:3 says, "He will not judge by what he sees with his eyes or decide by what he hears with his ears." That's the gift of the chosen. They discern beyond the surface. They've walked into homes that looked beautiful but felt hollow. They've spent nights in guest rooms that disturbed their sleep. They've canceled plans, left early, or never returned, not out of rudeness, but out of reverence for their intuition. Their body is often the first to speak, a chill, a headache, a racing heart, and they listen, because for them, peace is not a luxury, it's a necessity. They know that not every space is meant to be entered, not every invitation is meant to be accepted. Some environments are spiritually congested, still holding grief, conflict, or chaos like stale air that refuses to move. And the chosen, being vessels of light, Feel that clash immediately. It's not superstition, it's spiritual intelligence. They don't need to explain why they left, why they declined, or why they suddenly felt off. They don't owe anyone a justification for following the compass of their soul. Psalm 32 verse 8 says, "I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you." And that guidance often comes in whispers, not through words, but through the quiet knowing that says, "This is not your place." So they walk away, gracefully, quietly, completely, not with fear but with faith, not with judgment but with alignment. Because when you've been chosen, you don't follow the crowd. You follow the current of peace, and it never leads you wrong. The path of a chosen one isn't paved in certainty. It rarely comes with clear directions, and often it doesn't even make sense, at least not to the mind. But the soul knows, always. Beneath the noise of doubt and the pressure to conform, there is a deeper wisdom guiding every step. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And for those who are listening, it's enough. Chosen ones don't move through life by logic alone. Their compass is sacred intuition, quiet nudges, gut feelings, spiritual signs, and divine timing that can't be scheduled or explained. If you've ever walked away from a place, a person, or a plan without knowing why, if something in you said, "Not here, not now," or simply "no," trust that. That wasn't hesitation, that was protection. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." The chosen live by this trust, even when the road is foggy, even when they're walking alone, especially then. You see, divine guidance doesn't always come with a reason. Sometimes it just comes with a feeling and the courage to honor it. That's not weakness, that's spiritual maturity. That's the mark of someone who's awake. Someone who knows that unseen protection is often the greatest kind. If this message touched something deep within you, it's not a coincidence. Claim that blessing not only with your fingers, but with your faith. Let the universe know, I am here, I am listening, I trust the path even when I can't see it. And remember, you are not walking alone. This channel is your sanctuary, a place for souls like yours, for seekers, sensitives, and those who carry light in a heavy world. Subscribe and step into community. Let's walk this journey together, one intuitive step at a time. Until we meet again, protect your peace, follow your knowing, trust your timing, and no matter what, keep rising. You began this journey hearing the whisper that said, "Leave." Now, let your heart rest in the whisper that says, "You are exactly where you're meant to be." Thank you for watching. You are seen. You are guided. And you are never, ever alone.